it kind of helped them advance. I mean, do you think this was a conspiracy?
Gotta go with Jacob Butter. Gotta go lefty.
No, we're talking about the players. That's tournament champion into the podcast.
There he is, right there.
Oh, he doesn't even know how to watch. Go to youtube.com and search Down Lane Podcast. Good evening and welcome to Down Lane Podcast. We are streaming live in HD from the lab at Town and Country Lanes. I'm your host, Kyle Haines, and with me is the assistant to the host, Anthony
Austin
Scaccia.
and Buren.
Kyle's very excited about this HD.
Yeah.
I am not supposed to be leaning forward.
You're
Hey, everybody!
all hunched over, leaning forward like a hunchback in Notre Dame in your
Well, I'm ready to go.
Clock tower.
I like to be hunched over today. My body feels like it needs to be hunched over. I need to jump off a bridge. My hip hurts.
Okay, Jack. We got a lot to talk about as per usual. Week of events. What's up, Michael? How's it going? Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell to get alerts from the channel. Just like Michael, you guys can chat with us live here. We will talk with you guys. Type in your comments, questions, whatever it is, and we will surely get to talking with you guys. Don't forget the merch shop on Etsy. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the underdog champs of the Elias Cup, the PBA League.
The ninth wonder of the world.
we'll talk about those guys. We're going to talk about the new members of the IR list, the injured reserve list, who's going to be
Physically unable to perform list.
taking a step back for a week or two. What's up, James White? And we're going to talk about the regional up in South Glens Falls. Anthony had another great performance. Great
Not
performance.
Really. Debatable.
Scored well. Took home a check.
Spare shooting bad.
Maybe not a great performance.
Maybe could have won.
Still got a check. Let's put it that way. First and foremost, boys, Austin, Anthony, how was your week this week?
Am I far enough away?
Yeah.
My week's been pretty standard. Can't bowl. So,
Yeah.
hand is hurting. Hand is bad. Bowled Monday. Bowled Tuesday. Tuesday shot 530 for 3.
Oof.
Maybe 550. But I did not throw it good. It was not the lane's fault. So I decided I'm bringing it up early. I am not bowling for this. I'm not bowling tonight.
The IR list has grown.
I am,
Anthony Scaccia is on the injured reserve list.
you have to. Wow, this pen is broken. Anyways,
It's just a pen.
you're supposed to know like the difference between being hurt and being injured, right? So like it hurts or is it like injured? So there's a difference, and I was hurt and now I'm injured. So it's probably good to not bowl. Even though I felt like I was really starting to throw the ball really good in the dancers round. Yeah, your stud finder's always working when I'm on this thing. But yeah,
Anita, thank you very much. I'm sure it wasn't towards me.
No, definitely not. But yeah, so my hand has an issue now. I think I figured it out what it was, why I was hurt. Do I think it's a grip fit? Possibly, because I was having some trouble clearing the ball earlier in the year. So I was taking tape out, making my thumb hole bigger, which means I have to squeeze a little bit more. So I think I bowled trying to squeeze too long, and I think that ended up straining my forearm because I can kind of feel it a little more today. Like it was in my wrist on the sides for the whole weekend and for Monday, Tuesday. And then today I did drill I drilled one different ball with a completely different grip and tried some different pitch stuff to just see if I could like get the wrist pain to go away. And I don't know if I did because I still have pain like in my pad in my hand. So I'm more than likely squeezing still. So I probably just strained it. So I've got an appointment, I'm pretty sure, tomorrow with another guy. one of our buddies, Matthew.
Real
Fazone.
professional.
Pretty sure he's coming. I just texted him, "Are you really coming tomorrow?" So we're gonna see if we can get the bottom because we do have to bowl in 2 weeks. I'd rather not take another week and a half off and then go back up without practice again.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
If he's taking time out of his day to come here and check your grip, he must be really concerned about the doubles tournament in 2 weeks.
I mean, to be fair, I am throwing it pretty sick right now. I thought I was throwing it really good. I don't know if you could tell on the Bowl TV, but I felt really good getting into games.
Dude, when purple's looking good, it makes you throw it good too.
Well, the other thing is like during the practice session, I started throwing it really good at the end, and then I figured out how to make my wrist not hurt, and then I think doing that made my wrist hurt worse.
Right.
Because like I was getting the ball to the inside of my swing more, and I could feel my hand getting to the inside, and I think I also hurt myself doing that because when I try to go to the inside, that's when it hurts. So we'll have to see what happens.
Well, might as well just go into it. So
we didn't ask Austin how his week was, and he didn't answer.
Well, you started talking about the regional. I mean,
well, I didn't get. We'll
get to Austin's.
He's talking about his injury.
I know, but he started talking about how he's throwing it. Let's just talk. I'll come back to Austin in a second. Let's talk about the regional.
It's a full thing. It's all connected.
We're all connected. But seriously, let's talk about it.
That's supposed to be a joke from
you in some groups we don't know about?
I know. What the heck? You acted like we should know. Oh, we're all connected. Like, is that like a freaking Matrix or a freaking Illuminati
Take the red pill. Anyway, let's talk about it.
What do you want to talk about?
Let's start from the very beginning.
How many spares did you
Did you get a solid number, not including splits?
Of missed spares?
Yeah.
15 at least. I was like 3 for 8 on 7 pins.
Wow.
And during qualifying.
Well,
and I missed another, and I missed an 8 pin, and I missed a 6 pin, and I somehow chopped the bucket without the back piece. So what is it? Yeah,
your bucket, the 3, 5, 6.
The 3, 5, 6 without the 9. I took the 3, 6 clean off right down the middle. I don't know how that happened because if the ball goes to the right of it, the 3 goes into the 5. My ball went it took the 5 straight back.
Oh, the 5 straight back.
No, the other one.
Yeah, the 3, 6.
It took the 3, 6 straight back.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
Missed one of those. I missed a 6 pin. I don't know. You name it, I missed it.
I was watching.
There was I was in the catcher's.
You're lucky your dad was busy this weekend because he would have broken everything in the bowling alley.
He watched me. He's like, I'm like, 80 pins is enough for these guys. I'm gonna be close. And he goes, you just better hope you don't leave a spare. I literally was up there, and if you watch the bowlers TV, whatever it is, I literally prayed to God, like for one full round.
I gotta say, I was impressed by your attitude that day. Like, even on the missed spares,
it was bad.
No, your attitude was impressive.
Yeah, but I laughed at that point.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, what was I supposed to do? I even tried to line it up after that. Like, I prayed to God for a full round. Like, I was like, all right, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, help me make this spare because I got married in a church. So that, so then
suddenly you're confirmed.
So then that didn't work. So I was like, oh, God can't help me today. So I was like, so then I was lining up like one of those football kickers. I would stand in my spot with my ball in my right hand, and then I'd be like, all right, 7 pins. So I would do this. I'd be like, all right, throw it right there. People are like, what the heck is he doing? And then I ended up shooting.
Look at this schmuck from down in Albany.
So then I ended up I made most of my spares at that point, and then I barely missed like a 7 pin. I was like, man, it's working. Like pointing at it, it's like telling me how to shoot it. So that's how I ended up shooting them the rest of the way. I was just trying to figure out a way to make it. I was just trying to figure it out. My wrist. Okay, so that was the other portion of the problem was my wrist hurt more on the spare shot than it did on a strike shot. So when I shot at a spare, I was like, oh, it's going to hurt again.
Kind of flattening it out, hanging it on your fingers probably.
I don't know what it was. Maybe I squeeze more because I think I'm squeezing. So for whatever reason, my spare shot, I'm squeezing. So I don't know. So I just threw it.
I definitely squeeze on a lot of spares.
Well, I like to shoot it off my thumb like this. And I started making all my spares at the end of the qualifying round. And then I came into the advancers round, and that didn't work. Like I said, so then I went to God. He didn't help. He was busy. And then
taking care of somebody with some real problems.
So then I ended up having to do the good old field goal kicker thing. But yeah, I mean,
Anthony
it was better.
Feely out there.
That's what I was doing. It worked. I mean, listen, it doesn't matter how you make the spare as long as it's legal, and it was helping. So I was just doing my thing, you know.
So
Do I belong out there? Nah, I'm way too much fun for those guys. I mean, I'm just a little more animated, I should say.
yeah, they take it serious.
Well,
I mean,
they're living, so
not in the regional tour. Some of them they consider living, but shot wise, bowling ball wise, Don Johnson 40.
Don Julio, as we call it, 40 feet, 2.5 to 1, 32 mils, if that's correct. I feel like they were using the slicker oil than normal because my ball was getting down the lane pretty good. I did go to the practice session.
There.
Yeah. But I went to the practice session, and you know, I knew immediately purple looked good, and I said, well, there's no point for me to really practice anymore. So what I did was I ended up practicing with some resin balls just in case. I surfaced some up during the practice session. Like my game breaker went from lane shine to 1,000. I hit my Quantum Evo response with 3,000, kind of blended out a little bit more. And then my mindset was came off it pretty good. So if they were super tight, I could use that ball. And then my defender was just money. I mean, my defender, I could roll right up the lane, it rolled to the pocket, and I didn't have to touch it. So I didn't use that much surface. And then for the qualifying round, I used Purple Hammer 1, Purple Hammer 2, and Purple Hammer 3. One was a spare one, and the other two were strike ones. I had one that was lane shine because I didn't think I needed too much, because I figured if I started on the middle. So the middle is typically kind of in the middle of hook for me. It kind of hooks a little earlier than the low end, but it doesn't have quite the shape that the high end does.
It's kind of funny how the lanes work there, because it literally works like that.
Centers.
It's not no hook, but if you want to compare the three areas of the bowling alley, it's like no hook.
Don't give people the freaking tips and tricks in that place.
No hook, a little bit of hook, and then
it
like just totally hooks down at the high end.
Yeah,
it's kind of wild how it works there.
Right. So I found out where I was starting that night. So my game plan was to use my lane shine purple because I was going to go to the high end immediately. So I didn't necessarily need surface. And I said, well, if I can go to the high end, I might be able to get 4 games out of this ball, 3 or 4 games out of this ball, which then I could switch into the other purple, which would take me down to the low end, which would give me a little bit more read in the mid lane. And the lane shine purple made it 2 games.
Yeah.
2 1/4. So it was a little. It wasn't enough.
Flat sevening the whole time.
But I don't know if it was the ball or it was me, because at that point my wrist was a little bit tired.
It was the ball.
It could have been, but
Anthony, as soon as you changed, it was a whole different game.
Well, yeah, it hooked more.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it was the ball.
But I wasn't hitting it either at that point. I was kind of
all right, but you got to bowl with what you got.
Yeah, well, that's why I switched balls.
Yeah,
I mean, I ain't no dummy.
It was totally different.
Yeah, I ended up shooting 190. Oops, sorry, little guy. I ended up striking out with back 5 for like 198. That was my low game, second low game of the day. My
scores
low game
were high. Scores were high. Overall, I'm just saying the scores for the tournament were pretty high.
It was plus 83.
I'm just saying.
That's only 2.
And the leader was 330 over.
Yeah. Well, you know. So, anyways, I went to the high end. I had to be in a different ball. I bowled pretty good. Then I went to the low end, and I ended up shooting 208 or 206, but I had a pocket 710 in the 10th on a really nice shot. So I could have been 215, 220. The next game I shot like 230. So I went to the low end, and my score immediately jumps because I like the low end more. Then I finished in the middle where I always struggle. I just kind of gutted out because I knew I had enough after game 5 to make it for the whole tournament in a sense, because I think I was right around plus 65, plus 70. It might have been a little bit more, but I knew I had enough because I was talking to Foy Jr. I crossed with him, and he's like, yeah, you've got enough. You just got to kind of, get a decent 220 game in here or just grind out 2-0s. And I was like, oh, yeah, I kind of see that. So I grinded out 2-0s to the last game where I shot 190 and made myself go backwards and made the cut by 3.
Every single cut you had was by the skin of your teeth.
I mean, it doesn't matter how.
It doesn't. It's exactly right. It's not how. It's how much.
So I knew if I got into the advancers round, I'd be all right, because I knew that depending on what side I was on, I didn't have to bowl as many games. So I would easily. In my mind, I was thinking of strategy. Shout out to Bone Steel. He made it, one of our tournament guys. Yep. And
first
PBA cash.
PBA cash, yeah. Let me clarify that.
So I ended up kind of looking at some options, and I said I'm just gonna live and die by purple because there's no point to change. So
There was no reason.
when I got there, I took my 2 bags from the paddock and put them in my truck and wheeled around a 3-ball bag with 3 purple hammers in it. And that was it. I had 2 surfaced and one was my spare one. And because they were shorter little blocks, I was able to, what I basically did was in the 4-game set, 1 purple hammer got 2 games. No matter what happened after those 2 games, I went to the fresh one. And then I ended up squeaking out that cut. I think I made it by 20. I knew this top 16, I shouldn't have, once I was like, I shouldn't have an issue catching because I'm only 15 down. But I need to have a decent set because I got to set myself up for 8th. Because if I can make this top, I shouldn't have a problem making the 16th, top 16. Because
basically, how it worked was, top 16 or the top third, which was 24 bowlers.
25. They had a tie, so they took 25.
Oh, okay. Advanced in. And then
they cut the field in half.
You bowled 4 games, and then you cut to 16.
Then you cut to 8.
And then you cut to 8
after 7 games.
3 games.
Well, it went 4-3
to 8. And then you bowl 2 games
and
to 4.
Yep.
And then that's your stepladder finals.
So, yeah, I knew I wasn't going to have a problem catching 16th. I started off with an abysmal 190 game. And then I just started throwing it better. I just started bowling better. But that was on the high end, too. So, like, once again, I didn't pay attention. And then at a certain point, I made my moves and I bowled better. And then I ended up moving down to the middle. More towards 23, 24, which I absolutely love that pair.
And you always catch it.
I always catch that pair, and that pair is just very good for me. This weekend, I went 4-bagger, 7-10, 6-8 strike, made a move on the 6-8, left another 6-8 off the sheet. So they were all splits, and they were decent shots. I probably could have shot 300 that game, but that's neither here nor there. So then we get to the 16, whatever. I end up bowling pretty good the second round. Are you looking for my scores?
I was looking for the finals, but they're not.
Anyways, so then I end up squeaking in the top 16. Then you had 3 games to go. I resurfaced my purples. I knew I needed like about 720 to be close, 710. I needed a good set. And I ended up catching some good pairs. The last pair was the toughest one because the left lane, 25 and 26, was probably about 4 boards tighter than the right lane. So I ended up moving left a little bit on that pair, and I ended up shooting like a 237 the last game. I think it was I went 255, 220, 237. So I ended up with 720, and it just so happened that another guy, Kevin Bianco, I think his name is, didn't start off hot, but he ended up shooting 300. He jumped 2 guys. He jumped Adam Chase and myself, and I was in 8th. So I got knocked out to 9th. So I shot 720 that set. I really had nothing else I could have done because even if I struck out, I missed by 10 or 15. So, and then if I make my spare that I missed that last game, I still am out by about 5. So regardless, my run was over. I didn't have enough. But that was my first check on a PBA Tour event with Purple Hammer. So everybody who thinks that lefties only throw purples, when I bowled the Masters, I used resin. When I bowled for 4th, when I came in 4th in regional, that was resin. My first event out in Buffalo was all resin. And then I haven't cashed until this time with urethane.
After January, we'll see how that goes.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't really expect anything. I'm sure Hammer and Brunswick will come out with something really good.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, if I have to use 360, I use 360. I mean, honestly, it only favors me the straighter they go. Because for me, I already kind of loop the lane anyways with the urethane. Because if you watched me in Newer, we're in a very similar position.
Yeah.
We weren't really super straight. We were bellying it. So for us 2 lefties, it might not be as much as a problem as for maybe the guys who are really straight.
Other than the spare shooting, what was he doing differently? Because he was like 330 over in qualifying. And like you said, you're playing the similar part of the lane.
Well, I think the biggest difference for him was, he might have expected to use urethane the whole time. From what I was told, he went through 5 urethane balls in 8 games. If I had 5 purple hammers, I'm pretty sure I probably would have struck a lot more because obviously the fresh surface on the ball. I only brought 2, and I kind of planned them to be 4 games apart, or I didn't actually plan to be in urethane the whole time. So for him, he planned on it. He had 5 in his bag. I left my other one at home because I said I'll get 6 to 7 games out of urethane, and then I should be close enough to where it shouldn't really be a big deal after the practice day. it just turned out, I kind of said to myself, I haven't bowled in a while. Going right is not very good for me right now. So I'll just gut out staying left and I'll just move farther left as I went along.
Yeah, and it looked like for the righties, being right was no good. And
I thought being right was better the first day. Cashier's round being straight was not good because it knocked Bonesteel straight. They had another guy, Robert Shine was straight. John Fury was straight. Zach Gentile was straight. And it seemed like it was kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like you had to be like
Phil Drum was left and he was way better.
He had a lot of he had a lot of area, it looked like, because I did bowl next to him. But the guys who tried to play straight, it seemed like it was just a little more wishy-washy.
Yep.
For the left, well, they should have maybe tried urethane, maybe. I don't know if it didn't cross their mind, but Newer and myself were very similar. He used a fresher ball. If you look at our scoring pace on the Cashier's day,
closer.
It was a little closer, but I also had, you didn't have to have 5 urethane balls. I only used 2.
Yeah.
And he could only really use 2 in that 4-game set anyways. So it was a little closer. He obviously made more spares than I did too. I think I would have been plus 390, plus 460 for 8 games if I made all those spares, or for 15 games if I made all those spares. I don't know where he was at that point. He might have been more than I was, but plus 460 makes the step ladder.
Right.
So that's all I really needed to do. I didn't do it, so it's okay. But that's probably the biggest difference. Spares, and he had some more urethane equipment to use.
A lot more. Oh, I mean, 2 balls is not a lot more, but like still carrying around 5 of the same ball is crazy.
Now I don't know if they were the same layout or not. Mine were both the same layout. And then, like I said, I started with one with lane shine and one was at 500. I probably could have hit my other one with 500, but I had a good look, so I didn't want to try and take it out of play right away if it didn't look good that day. And then start off with like, 190 or something trying to do it. And then kind of like our buddy Matt did, he started with urethane and said it just wasn't it.
Right.
And I was like, no, it is it.
Yeah.
Like it was there. For me, at least, it was there. So I think that I'm glad I didn't trick myself and I stayed kind of in my game, and knowing that I haven't bowled a lot, keeping myself where I was with that ball was just going to be better off than switching to resin and moving in.
Yeah. Well, excellent performance overall with the physical struggles.
Thanks, Kyle.
And
thank you, Austin.
I'm just going to go out there and say it. Horrible spare shooting. That was a Kyle Haines performance in spare shooting all day long.
I literally texted my dad and said, man, if I could only make a spare. I said, any advice? He said, just don't leave him.
I came in to grab my charger because I left it here. And I was talking to the old man. He was like, I ain't going to tell him what I want to say.
I mean, I already knew. What do you like? Usually, I'm a good spare shooter. Normally, I always am making spares. Like, yeah, of course, I miss quite a few when I shoot at 90% of my 90% spares in a game. Like, I don't usually strike that much. I'm usually more of a keep it close kind of guy, and I can make my spares. This time, because I was throwing so many strikes, I mean, who needs spares? That's why I said to him, who needs spares when you're throwing 9 strikes a game? I might average 8 strikes a game the second day.
Yeah.
Like, no, not even.
No, you were striking pretty good.
I was striking left and right.
Luckily, you were, like I said, you were in a good mood in the weekend, because we were, me and Nick were all over him, just busting on him the whole time. Like, it was good. It was good because I think it kept you lighthearted, hopefully.
Well, no, I kind of knew how bad it was. Like,
yeah,
I literally, after the first day, I was like, man, that was terrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
And
but hey, listen, you threw a lot of strikes.
Janelle was like,
very good.
What are you going to do tomorrow? And I said, there is nothing else to do.
Hopefully make
like all you can do is hope at this point.
Throw a crap ton
I
of
said,
strikes.
I am just not. The funny part was I made a lot of my spares in the tournament club.
Oh,
like my spare shooting on the tournament club was phenomenal. I'm like, well, at least I can make my spares. And then I went up there and I didn't make a spare.
Yeah,
but
well,
I did
that
make
Thursday night before, I was watching you shoot spares. I'm like, uh-oh.
Well, see, that's when my hand really hurt too. So, I mean, you know what? There are no excuses. I bowled with what it was, and I'll take the performance for what it was. I haven't bowled a lot either. You know, those guys bowl a lot more than I do.
They bowl every freaking day or every weekend at least. Yeah.
I bowled like 10 times in 2 months, and I was able to pull that out. So I believe it was the best finish out of everybody in the Capital District. So that makes me feel pretty good.
Well, I don't know. Andrew Hall now lives in Mechanicville. That's pretty close. It's not, I don't know if you call that.
Yeah, I guess, you know what? Hey, if he's mechanic, I mean,
he finished in 4th.
Sure, if he's living there, then he had a better weekend than I did.
So what? Okay. Shout out to him too.
I will say
he is a Town and Country Lanes bowler now.
He is a Town and Country Lanes bowler. I will say it is what it is. I'll take second place to him. That's okay.
And Austin, now that we're talking about hands and pain, What happened today?
Work-related injury.
But he's manning up and he's bowling tonight. What are you doing?
I can't find him a sub. That's why. I can't find a sub. My phone's down here. I'm on the podcast. I texted 5 or 6 different people. I've called another 3 people. I couldn't get a sub tonight, so Janelle's dad is subbing. So that's fine. You know, I got lucky. I wouldn't have bowled anyways because my wrist is destroyed. To Michael Pokey's question about the mindset, it is one of my favorites. It goes everywhere with me. It is what I cash with at the Masters. So if you're looking for a ball that hooks in oil, that's the best thing, especially with low rev rate, because the core is so strong, it will tip up a little bit more for you, and that solid cover stock will help you slow down in the mid lane. So for you, it'll probably be awesome ball. It's one of my favorites right now too.
All right, let's talk about the Elias Cup real quick. But before we do, don't forget, like, subscribe, click the bell to get alerts from the channel. Etsy shop. Check out the merch. Don't forget the Thane Bang shirt. Anthony's favorite, because that's all he knows how to use. Just kidding. He literally just said mindset.
What about it?
Nothing. You weren't listening.
Oh, no. I just got stuck. I'm getting old.
Yeah, so don't forget to email us at downlanepod@gmail.com. And you can also listen on all of your favorite podcast outlets and give us a 5-star review while you're doing that. Now, let's talk about this Elias Cup, which was, I guess you could say, quite an upset. I would like to first...
ninth wonder of the world.
I would like to first go over our picks from last week, which were our power rankings, which, by the way...
I deny every pick that I had.
Our show was on 9/21, and the PBA power rankings came out on 9/22. So I would like to make sure that we clarify that, because I'm posting that Nolan Hughes, who is the PBA writer, also had his power rankings out there. So I just want to show how similar and different his were compared to ours. But his were posted on 9/22. Ours were on 9/21. So that's just want to clarify so that nobody thinks there were copiers, except that he was copying us.
Well,
he's definitely watching.
The list was not.
Well, look at his list.
Same.
Look at his list compared to mine. Dude, top 3 are dead on.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
Oh wait, yeah.
PBA.
I was looking at mine. Sorry.
Yeah,
I saw the breeze there. They disappointed me this week.
Can you zoom it into? You don't have to zoom it into 200, I guess, but it'll get it a little bigger. There we go. Bam. So yeah, the PBA power rankings had the Motown in first place, which Anthony and I did. Austin had the Lumberjacks in first place, which are the past 3-time winners, the only winners of the league. Then they had the LAX, which I also had the LAX. Anthony had the Breeze for some reason.
I like
in
their.
second
I think
place.
that was your wild card pick.
I like that team. I had a good feeling about that team. They had Dom Barrett, I think, and they had Jake Peters, and I like those 2 players a lot. Clearly, the manager mismanaged. A lot of talent there.
Clear failure on the upper level.
Does anybody know who the manager of that team was?
Oh, you're gonna make me.
I demand to be fired. What a disappointing! It was championship or bust for them this year.
Let's see. Who am I looking for?
Now my question is how do
Breeze. Jason Couch, your buddy Jason.
Is he's left-handed, right?
Yes.
You didn't pick enough lefties, Jason.
Oh man.
I will say I actually had the urge, I will be honest, to move the Waco Wonders up. Like when we were first doing this, like pick them number 1, because I always pick the lefty teams.
Yeah.
And they had Simonelli.
Yeah.
And they had Parker Bone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's the lefty team. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and do good. So I'm not going to pick them. And the one time I don't pick them.
Wouldn't you know it? Out of nowhere.
I'm never not picking lefties again.
Then PBA had the Atom Splitters in third. I also had the Atom Splitters in third.
What place did they actually come in?
Keep going down, all the way down in sixth. Wow.
Not terrible.
PBA then had who did they have in fifth? Nolan had the Breeze in fourth, Strikers in fifth. Who's next? The Kingpins in sixth. They had
all the way right is
the final.
The final.
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows.
So the final standings are the way that the muscle is the big surprise here. Final position is in slow down 7th place.
I was trying to look.
And the LAX. LAX.
Well, you know what's funny is the LAX typically don't perform in this event. They have always underperformed in this event. They have Belmo. They used to have Simo on that team, I think. He was an LAX guy, and they didn't have anything. I think Simo's the problem. Obviously,
That's an excellent evaluation here.
Well, I'm just saying they drop down every year. I mean, LAX, they still stink. So, I mean, maybe it wasn't him. Maybe they just stink. I don't know.
Could be. But he's on
He's on Motown now.
Right?
And
I
believe he was on LAX for a few years. Him and Belmo, I thought. Listen, I don't pay attention that much to it.
Right.
So don't call me out if I forget.
Look
But,
Look at the Pounders, though. The Pounders, we got all across the board pretty close. I nailed that one. Anthony nailed that one.
That's the only thing I nailed. The other thing is we all had the Waco one. I will say that I had the Waco Wonders higher than everybody. No, Austin, sorry. There's so many lines.
Yeah.
I had the Waco Wonders higher than you and the PBA guys, so clearly you guys don't know what you're talking about. And Austin and I are the greatest. But
yeah.
I will say the Kingpins outdid what I thought they would do.
A lot higher than expected.
I was a little surprised. Taki is obviously a magician at this one because he also did really well last year. So he bowls well in that building. I'll have to remember what team he's on next year. I'll forget, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see what manager changes. I mean, I did get a few calls the other day from anonymous numbers.
I believe that's called spam.
Listen, I'm not gonna speculate if it was spam or the PBA looking for another manager, but you never know.
Right.
I'd be a heck of a manager.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think I did wrong on that one? I don't know. You looked at your feet. Stop looking. Feel it.
Be more athletic.
It's true.
Stop thinking so much.
Throw it better.
It's like an empty space when I bowl.
Yeah, we know. And it's like an empty space when you
I'm the only one that
operate.
threw the Chicago Breeze down there.
Yeah, I thought the Breeze were going to be a little bit better. Like I said, I liked the team. I liked who they had. Clearly, I was wrong.
What really surprised me is Nolan throwing the Lumberjacks down to 8.
That's an excellent point. I'm extremely surprised where he had them.
Well, they have Arturo now too, right?
Yeah, he's a wild card. I know he lives up there, but come on.
He bowls there every day, though.
So what?
That's his home center.
Give me a break. Who cares?
Then. I'm just saying he obviously he's got to have an advantage.
Okay, but
I mean that's got to make a big deal if you know that one lane is tighter than the other down lane.
Yeah, but they've all bowled there, and you're bowling on 2 different pairs, which doesn't necessarily matter.
But how many guys really pay attention when they're up there? It seems like more of a fun time. It doesn't seem like
they're
it's
bowling
overly,
on the same lanes the entire time.
I'm just saying it doesn't seem like it's overly. I mean, it's competitive, but it's not like it really matters. They're not playing for $100,000. They're playing for $5,000 bonus money.
Right.
So how serious? So if he's like, hey, yeah, we can move a little right here. Plus, they're the home team.
But again, my point is they're not moving. They're on the same exact lanes all week long, or all 3 days or 4 days, whatever it is. So I don't think that really comes into play.
I will say I do see trends. The Dallas Strikers and the Lumberjacks are always top 3.
They are always top 3. I mean, I believe Norm Duke is the Dallas Strikers head coach.
Yep.
They call it manager, head coach.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't manage the team.
This isn't baseball.
That's or soccer.
They're calling managers in soccer too.
I don't know what they're called.
Then why did you say it?
You said it. The Portland Lumberjacks are just a good team up there. Seems like they mesh pretty well. I will agree with Kyle with Austin where he said the Motown Muscle had too much firepower. I believe they did. Here's my thought.
Go.
You've got AJ or
EJ.
You've got Simo. I don't remember anybody else in that team. Name another player.
I'm working on it.
Thank you.
Who are we looking for? Oh, Motown?
Yeah.
EJ, Simo, Coupe, Cooley, Nathan Bohr.
All right. Really good team. Rev rate's through the roof, though.
Yeah.
So I bet you that because their rev rate is so high, they destroy the lane so much faster on each and every team. It probably plays a detriment. So when Austin said too much firepower, I could see where he's coming from now. Because it's a possibility that they kind of they transition that lane so fast with all that rev rate that it makes too much of a environment that's harder to catch up to. If you look at the Waco Wonders who ended up winning, they had 2 lefties on the team. They had BJ Moore, they had Frank Snodgrass, and BJ is unbelievable on the bottom of it. Snodgrass isn't as strong as BJ, and who's the last guy?
Nathan Bohr. Wait, Waco. Sorry.
Waco.
Snodgrass is the last guy. Simonelli, BJ Moore, Sterner.
So they've got some guys who are a little more moderate in rev rate, and because they're more moderate, I bet you the lane doesn't transition nearly as fast, especially with the other 2 lefties.
And there's lefties. So you got 2 lefties and only 3 righties.
Right, and the righties, there's only 1 super power player, and then the other guys are, I'll say Sterner and Snodgrass are a little more like the moderate rev rate guys. So, it is a possibility that their lane was a little fresher, a little longer, and then their transition didn't hit as hard because it didn't transition as fast, where the Motown guys blew it open. Maybe that's a problem with the LAX too, because you've got Belmo, you've got Stu Williams, you've got some guys like
Stu's
that.
not that much of a power player.
He likes to play deeper on the lane typically.
Yeah.
So you've got more traffic in one spot. I think they had like DJ Archer too.
No, DJ was
Stu Williams right top left. They had Kevin Williams.
Yeah, but Butcherf, so he's left.
So that's interesting. They had Thomas
Kevin
Larson.
McCune.
Okay, so their rev rate's pretty high too. So it seems to be like the Lumberjacks who have Arturo. They've got West Malott. They've got Kyle Troop. They've got Kyle Troop.
Quintero.
I already said Quintero. Prather. Okay, so their rev rates, but they don't have.
And Grandpa.
So they've got a few. They got a lefty. They've got a 2-hander who's a little straighter, and then they've got not as power players as LAX or Motown Muscle. Obviously, that Prather's more of a stroker to me. It doesn't seem like he really eats the lane up as much, but that's just from watching. He's not going to eat the lane up as much as EJ, Simonson, Belmo.
He's got to be at least 475, no?
Sure, but I mean, one guy at 475 every 2 shots a game is not much. Malott's not very high anymore.
No?
He's not.
I don't know anymore.
For PBA. He's
I
not
understand
as high.
what you're saying.
I'm comparing relatively.
It's got to be around 420.
At least, yeah.
Sure. Well, that's not low, but I'm just saying relative to everybody else,
Lost our computer.
Their lanes don't typically change as fast as maybe some of the guys who have the higher rev rates. And you only get 2 shots on a lane. So if you're not keeping up with the transition, you're not communicating, which I don't know if they communicate that great or not.
Well, let me ask you that question, because now that you bring that up, what about Motown Muscle? You got EJ Tackett, number 1 bowler in the world right now, and then you got Simo, number 2, who thinks he's number 1. How does the ego game work when you're on a team?
I don't think at that point the ego game really matters.
Well, I mean,
they all know each other enough to where they know. I don't know. I just think that they probably see the lane a little differently because you've got a Motive brand ball versus Storm ball. Yeah, there is a difference. Okay. And I think that 2-handed versus 1-handed, I don't care how much revs there are on the ball, they're always going to be different because typically like a 2-hander, if I'm correct, because a lot of people I measure as a 2-hander, they're like 0 axis tilt because the way they throw the ball.
Right.
While the 1-handers have axis tilt. So typically the 2-handers weight block is always rolling a little more forward anyways. So ball motion is never the same. So they're completely separate realms no matter what. That's my observation. So they're completely separate anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to remember, in this type of an atmosphere, as you know, the top 2 bowlers only get who's going to bowl anchor. You can only have 1 guy bowl anchor. The only other guy can only get 2 shots.
Yeah.
So it really, I think, is really up to the manager, I guess, to be able to decipher and see how the people are playing the lanes and how to, I guess, in that case, they need to actually manage. I think Austin was right with Tim Mack, where Tim Mack knows how to rein those players in.
Yeah.
And he knows how to see what's going on with the lane. And whether or not he tells people what to do, he gives them a good synopsis on how that lane's playing. And it's good enough for that player to decipher how he wants to play that lane. So I think that's the difference. And I think that there's some guys who maybe don't do that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you got Mark Baker out there too. I mean, where did the Atom Splitters finish? I forget. But he's a extremely talented coach. As far as one-on-one coach.
What team was he?
Atom Splitters.
Okay. They had Chris Vi and they had.
But what I'm saying is he as talented as a team coach. I don't know.
I think it's a different atmosphere because it ends up being it's more lane play. You're not going to tell these pro guys how to bowl at this point. You know what I mean? You're like, your swing is off today.
That's what I'm also curious about. How much coaching is going on? You know,
I don't think there could be a lot of coaching, but I bet you lane play is the biggest thing because I bet you that's got to be the hardest because your team stays in the same lane. So my thing is how each team attacks the lane. So then you have to find out each player. I mean, maybe there's a little bit. I could see if there's not a lot that goes into it because they're pros. It's kind of like the NFL. The pros or the MLB, they all have their own strict routines. They all have something they believe in terms of how they play the game. I'm sure the people in bowling have the way they play their game, and they see the lane probably, everybody sees the lane a little different. So it's the manager's job to pull it together. But are the managers really game planning for that?
Right.
Like, are they really like, okay, hey, when we follow these guys, we're going to try and do this. Hey, when we start, we're going to play here. We're going to do this. Now, not like they really need to do it on a 5-to-1, but how much preparation really goes in? Do they have team practice? No, I think they just have like a normal practice session.
Right.
Where everybody just hangs out with whoever. I don't know if they get together. I don't know. But, I mean, that'd be interesting to see. And I think it'd be interesting in different buildings because maybe these guys, even though they love the atmosphere, they don't match up in that center. Like maybe Belmo and Simonson and all these super high rev players win at Bolero centers, but when they go somewhere else, like a Portland place, it's different because the lanes might not favor the high rev players there. You know what I mean? It's a thought process. I don't know. What do I know?
I don't know. Again, that comes back to the league in general. Like we talked about last week, having your home center, practicing in your home center, having your own home environment. Did they win, quote unquote, away this time as far as Waco being away, air quotes.
No, there's no home.
I know. I'm being very facetious and air quoting, but point being, would it be different if there was home centers and you're practicing in your home center, or changing the league completely, like you said, having a manufacturer's cup or whatever.
I just think the Manufacturers Cup makes more sense. And I think there's one Storm guy on the Waco Wonders. So that also shows us that it could be done because they could have added another Brunswick guy in there and it would have just been a Brunswick team. Not saying that
it should be or could be. Or
it would have to be Brunswick and Columbia. They would all have to have their individual guys. But it was more of a Brunswick manufactured team.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like that makes a difference. I'm just saying it would be possible instead of the Waco Wonders, which I bet you none of them have been to Waco. Maybe Parker Bone, but I'm sure they don't even know where it is. You know where it is?
I couldn't point it out on the map.
Do you know where it is? What
It's
state
in
it's in?
Texas.
It's in Texas.
Yeah.
It's in Texas. They don't live in Texas. I know Parker Bone has a bowling alley in New Jersey, and there's no way he flies to Texas.
He's been to Texas. He has to.
Yeah, but he hasn't
He's
lived
traveled
like
his whole life.
That's not like his home.
No, I know.
Like that's
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like international champion. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
All I can say is they do enjoy bowling there and in that atmosphere.
It's a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
It is. It is a good
Speaking
atmosphere.
of the atmosphere, the other note that I have for the PBA, at least, and the television.
Did you message them yet?
No. Watching the same people on TV
Every year.
day in and day every year. That's another point. Literally, I can look at if I knew their names, I would actually be able to point them out by name. Like, oh, there's Julie again, or whoever she is, because I can tell you I've seen that girl on TV every single year for the last 3 years, 4 years now.
It seems like you pay attention too much to the crowd.
Well, when they're wearing banana outfits, did you not see the girl in the banana outfit?
I was more. My dad was asking what ball people were throwing, so I never really looked at the other stuff.
It's incredibly distracting which I don't care about them wearing a banana suit, but like, I'm just saying it can draw your eye to the crowd when they're wearing a banana suit, and
That's
then
the point.
Right. I'm just saying, like, yes, I do notice these things. I notice everything, by the way. Like when
you didn't notice that they called Ryan Simonelli Himonelli.
No, because I didn't have the volume on.
It was an Instagram post.
Again, I do not understand.
It's an
Can someone
Instagram.
please, for the love of God, explain to this old man what Himonelli means?
He's him.
It means he's like the guy, but like I mean, hey, I don't get it either.
I'm so old, apparently.
I mean,
Which,
did
by
he
the way,
really...
my son drew a picture of me and took out the gray colored pencil.
Nice.
The gray colored pencil for the hair.
Which
That
was
hurts.
Zach or Ethan?
Ethan.
That definitely hurts.
It hurt big time. Cut me deep. Cut me real deep.
Sorry, I got a lot of grays going on too. But I'm
I was gonna
losing
say,
my
I'm,
hair. So.
I'm balding in the back already.
Nice.
Don't feel bad.
So anyway, yes, I noticed everything. Like when the vending machine was on full display behind the bowling lanes
was
during
in
one
it?
of the tournaments.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It was
anything
just-
good in it?
It was nuts. You got a professional tournament and they, Pepsi machine was just like sitting there.
I mean,
it was
it's
stupid
still a
stuff that
bowling
see.
center.
I noticed
like,
everything.
Jesus.
Yep, it
What do
is.
you want them to do?
Everything that they can.
It's not a studio, like you
Should
know.
be.
Okay.
Should be freaking perfect.
I mean, I guess I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, like I mean.
The guys were walking by a vending machine to sign the poster board.
Okay, yeah,
for
I
the
do remember
bracket.
that. That seemed a
It
little
was so cheesy.
Yeah, that seemed like not.
Yeah.
Like I could see if there was like a clubhouse, like in golf.
Yeah.
We walk in and they've got
nice
stuff posted.
wooden cabinets.
Well, they
and,
got stuff
yeah,
posted like, please take your shoes off. You see
Yeah,
that, and then they have
I
their
get
like
that.
their players like or your club members like fridge or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
understand.
that's
That's like a
fine.
nice clubhouse with a nice locker room.
Yeah, we're
You
not gonna
know.
get locker rooms, man. I mean, it's bowling. You don't really need a locker room because everybody shows up in their gear.
You don't remember the story we told about the regional in Binghamton when one of the players was just undressing in the bathroom because we don't have locker rooms? I understand it's a regional. I'm just saying.
Dude, I put my pants on in the parking lot the other day.
I get it. That was my point about
I was up
bowling.
at freaking Glens Falls. I was putting my pants on up and outside the freaking car.
I don't think you understand. Like, I'm not saying that we should be getting special treatment. I am just saying, like, that is the difference between bowling and everything else, where it's like, we're just out there putting our pants on in the bathroom or in the parking lot, and golf has got the fancy mahogany freaking lockers. And
I'd like to
that's my
challenge
point.
you to find out if the guys that play in the professional level here.
in the Corn Ferry League or whatever.
No,
it is.
no, there's a New York professional league. It's like the NEB.
You're telling me that the Albany Country Club doesn't have locker rooms that they're able to go sit in?
I want you to ask if those guys actually use the locker rooms.
All right, Bill, when you arrive here tonight, because that's
It's Bill Hurley's son.
Bill
Josh
Hurley's son,
Hurley.
Justin Hurley, he'll tell us.
That's what I'm saying. We
Absolutely,
should
they
need to ask.
get to sit in the locker room and put their pants.
Listen, I'm not saying that they do or they don't, but I'm just saying ask if they use them, because if they don't use them, then what are you going to complain about? I mean, honestly, why are you going to, if it was me, if I'm going to go to a golf tournament, why not just go dressed?
I don't know what the reason is.
Just saying.
You don't put your spikes on. I mean,
Put my spikes on
in
the
the
freaking,
car.
yeah, put them on when I get out of the car. But I don't need a
I
locker
gotta
room to
be
put on
honest,
shoes.
My golf shoes are way more comfortable than any other pair of shoes.
I'm just saying,
I'm gonna start wearing my bowling shoes in the parking lot. Strap
What's
them
the-
on, and
That'll
then,
work well
yeah.
for you.
I
Yeah.
did have a customer leave the bowling alley with his shoes on, his bowling shoes on, and I found out that he wore them all day because he didn't know that they were bowling shoes.
his own personal bowling shoes.
Yes, he is an older gentleman. So it's T Ray's dad. So I was like, hey, T Ray, somebody's shoes are here and they kind of look like your shoes. They're small. They're kind of, I said, you might want to see if your dad,
Like
Took
left
'em.
with his shoes on.
yeah. And I was like, hey, you might want to see if your dad's got his shoes because, you guys were on 9 and 10. Sure enough, he called his dad and said, can you put them away for me? He's been wearing them all day. He didn't know that they were regular shoes. He didn't know that they were his bowling shoes,
Love it.
which was
Love
hilarious. But anyways, back to your locker room.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't get it. I can see the locker room being the paddock if there is a paddock. Like that's
Yeah.
fine. Like that's okay. This weekend we had a very small paddock.
Yeah.
It's probably the size of that janitor's closet back there.
Better than we've had up there before.
Yeah, we didn't have one before, so it was nice. But like you couldn't change in there. Like if I went in there,
Yeah.
like there could only be like another 2 people in there because.
But even when we were at the Masters and we had all of that space, still don't like we had a giant paddock, but
Yeah, I mean you
no,
could have got
like,
dressed
actual-
in there.
You could have. And
You had
again,
your own bathroom too.
there is no reason to, but that was by far the best we've had in our experience.
Well, yeah, I mean they had freaking 100 lanes.
It's wild. Yeah,
Like, yeah,
that was wild.
yeah. There's plenty of space.
You know what though? From now on, I expect a taped out box on the floor with my name on it.
Did it have that?
No, I said I expect it.
Oh, Oh,
from now on.
I don't.
From every event that we bowl in, I want a boxed out area. K Haines. You know, boom. That's where my stuff is. That's where it goes.
So I'll make sure to put it right next to dumpsters.
There you go.
Gotta
Good
lean
plan.
back from this thing so I don't get it all these two in a tizzy.
We have to have quality audio. All right.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're saying,
I'm with
Kyle. It is what it is. There doesn't need
It's
to
the
be
luxurious life we live in bowling. That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, you still have a nice, luxurious life in bowling. I mean, you got lanes, you got an oil machine. You don't need a freaking locker room.
Yeah.
You're here to bowl. You're not here to get dressed.
Anyway, back.
You want to shower while you're at it?
Yes.
Turn
Yeah.
the freaking toilet.
You know how sweaty we get when we're bowling?
You
It's
are like
nasty.
the only person who sweats. I don't
No.
sweat when I bowl.
Ask me, Karis.
My body regulation is pretty good. I
Not
do
me.
not sweat.
Yeah.
Not me.
They weirdly sweat like freaking old
No.
people do.
It's because it's 100 in here. Anyway, congratulations to the Waco Wonders, Elias Cup champions, Underdogs. They were supposed
Lefty
to finish in
love.
last.
Lefty love, baby. Lefty love.
Parker Bone coming out of nowhere.
I think
Not
I'm
nowhere.
I can throw
but-
I
Dude,
think I'm like 3-0 in estimations.
kicking our butt.
I do
I
believe
don't know.
that
You did kick butt. That was
I do
good.
believe that Parker throws it good.
No kidding.
Guy still got it.
Dude, he good.
Did you say he good?
He good. He him.
Ugh.
You want to start that crap? We can go he him. He
Kyle's
good.
increased his
All right.
vocabulary.
Yeah.
I'm not using that ever.
It's
I
the
just think it's the stupidest thing.
dumbest thing that anybody's
I
ever
did hear
said.
Simonelli is still throwing 14.
He's throwing 14?
That's what somebody said in the telecast.
I didn't know that.
That's what somebody told me.
What's he copying me?
I mean, he's got to throw it harder. Doesn't throw it fast enough. I think I saw one of his shots was like 20.7, I should say.
Why does he throw 14?
I don't know.
He throws it freaking hard.
Probably did hit 20.7.
That
without-
was
Okay.
just what somebody told me. They said on the telecast. I was too busy telling my
I
dad
throw
who was throwing
14
what.
and I still throw less than 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, well, my dad was asking me who was using what, so I didn't have time to listen.
That's
Oh,
wild.
that's another phase 2. Yeah. What one's that? I don't know, Dad. I don't know which one that is. What one's that? You know, so then I had to tell him what one it was. That was it.
All right.
So I wasn't listening to it. I was just telling him what it was.
Wait, Austin, did you get to tell us how you hurt your hand today?
He said work related.
Yeah, but
I
did
didn't
you
know
tell
you
us
wanted to
how?
elaborate.
Yes, I want to know how you hurt your hand
Oh.
today.
Well, user error. I was trying to find a motor to put on the machine that you might acquire,
Oh, really?
and I pulled the cord and it locked up. and
Ugh.
now the good old tendon or ligament or whatever in my forearm is not very happy.
Dude, that recoil is the worst when you
Well,
go
it
to.
didn't pull back. It
Not
literally just stopped.
Yeah, but like still, when you expect it to go
yeah.
and it either stops or recoils,
Well, it's almost,
it is mean.
in my opinion, it's better for it to pull back out of your hand
At least rip back.
because then it's just out of your hand.
Yeah.
Mine, it was just instant stop, and then I yanked my whole hand around the handle.
No good. No
But,
bueno.
Yeah. Yeah, you know,
We'll see how bowling goes tonight.
pain is pain.
Still trying to find you a sub.
Oh my
The
god.
sub does sound really good right now.
All right. Well,
Pepperoni.
so these guys, well, Austin may be bowling. Anthony is not bowling. By the way, last week we put a guessing game out for guess how much Anthony and I, since we were bowling against each other, would shoot. And I believe it. Wait, what'd you shoot last week? 8 what? Oh, there it is. 1779. I shot 915. Ant shot 864.
Something.
Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
So 1779 was our combined total. So if you guessed something close to that, I got to check the
I
live
think it was in
comments.
like 10 pins, 20 pins.
Yeah, somebody was close, but not the nail on the head, whatever.
Like,
It wasn't dead on. But somebody was close. So maybe next week we'll do another one or what have you, or whenever the next
come
time
back.
Whenever the next time we're
one of
Oh,
us
man,
one of
I'm
us
on
is
the-
against the other.
I'm the physically unable to perform list. You know what I'm saying? I'm out.
Um,
I'm out.
and then this week's Anthony's cornhole tournament.
Yeah, that you're not playing in.
I'm going to try to go to Massachusetts for the Masters and NEBA, New England Bowlers Association.
I don't know why.
Why not? I need-
Cornhole is cooler.
I know.
We're bowling next week. I have a tournament here next week.
I know, but I'm working next weekend.
Wait, what term is that?
Fall semi-classic. Oh, you got to work next weekend, but you can't work this weekend.
Sorry.
Uh,
I was expecting to play this cornhole tournament, but nobody wanted to be my partner.
my sister was like, "Why didn't Kyle ask me? I want to play," and then you never did.
All right. Well,
That's what she said.
it
I'm
is
just saying.
time for us to go
Stephanie,
bowling.
I put it. I
She's
put it
not
out there
watching.
for.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell to get alerts from the channel. You can always catch us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever it's
Do you
called
still
now.
follow X? I don't do X.
I don't know. I got to figure out how to log back in.
X is too hard for me.
If you can't watch the show on YouTube, you
I'm on
can
Y.
download the podcast on any of your favorite outlets like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whichever one you like. And while you're doing that, please give us a 5-star review or recommendation or however the outlet chooses to recommend it. And if you'd like to email us, go ahead and do that at downlanepod@gmail.com. And if you want to give us any suggestions or ball review emails or whatever, Anthony, you can do ball reviews because I'm not doing it. Just kidding.
I mean, I'll do them. Wait, like actually bowl and do it,
Yeah,
or
sure.
like just give advice.
I don't know. Whatever the people want, man. Just
Whatever
email
people
us and
want.
ask.
I'll do
Email
whatever
us
you
and
want.
ask.
As long as I can throw a bowling ball.
All right. Thank you, Austin Van Buren, the producer. Jack Scaccia, proprietor of Town and Country Lanes. Anthony, another great show. Thank you to my family, Stephanie, Zach, and Ethan.
Jam bread.
We will see you guys next week live in HD. This is Downlane Podcast.